Howdy, folks. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. We got lots to discuss. Eklund will be joining us any moment. A lot of big news in sports this morning. Aaron Judge re-signing with the Yankees. But I'm sure Russ will want to start with that in the pre-show. Go ahead, Russ.
Well, I wasn't going to start with that because I was letting you take over for that. But I wanted to talk about the Mets signing Jose Quintana. This is like a joke. They have a left-handed pitcher named David Peterson who is better than Quintana. Like, if you even look at the strikeout ratios, so much better. He's 27. He's 27 years old. It doesn't even make sense. But what I'm being told by people obviously smarter than me is he's not just the average pitcher that I think he is. He does make every start. Like, this guy will start 30 games. Mm-hmm. But you need him now because you got two 40-year-old guys at the top of your rotation, a 39-year-old guy and a 40-year-old guy. And so now I am having to piece together like a six-man rotation because I have two older pitchers. Like, to me, that's not how you build sustainability in the pitching staff, which is something that, the Mets were talking about doing. The last thing I want to say is I think Kevin will actually agree with this. Fans are telling me, well, you could do this. You could have a 2-year win now window and still rebuild and be good for a long time. Like, not rebuild, but just,
develop
and just have, depth for a long time. And I don't believe you could do that in baseball, Kevin. I haven't seen anybody do it.
Yeah, no, it's really hard. I mean, you look at, the team that I follow, the Tigers, and even when you got top picks, the Tommy John surgeries just eliminate your pitching staff almost instantaneously. All you need is 1, 2, or 3, which seems like every team is getting now.
So you need picks. And to me, I wanted them to sign or trade for younger pitchers, even if they're 29.
Right.
Like Quintana's 33. Like 33, 2-year deal. Like, that's
yeah. It's so hard though. Unless you're making a Mookie Betts trade where you're getting guys that are can't misses. But I read a story where a guy went and looked it up, and we're all very critical. I know in Detroit we always talk about the team didn't get enough for Verlander, it didn't get enough for Martinez. Well, they didn't guess right, because I read a story, and it was it's probably been 6 months ago now, because I brought up in the thing where a guy went back and looked at all the trades and like what was available, and he basically said, if you can't get a top 100 MLB guy, and even then it's not positive, you're just throwing darts. Right. You can talk about scouting all you want, but the guys they brought in most of these trades are guys that were identified as some of the better prospects on their team, but they just didn't pan out. It's hard. I mean, what's the baseball draft still go 40 rounds?
No, they lowered it. It's not 40 anymore. I want to say at 1 year it was just 10 or 15, and I think they went back to 20. I think it's 20.
Yeah, it's 20, but still 20 rounds.
I know.
It's just hard, and even though they have a fewer number of players. Trying to sort it out. I mean, it's just so hard to rebuild.
But I'll just say this, Russ. I understand okay, I would rather have DeGrom than Verlander, but Verlander's, he won the Cy Young last year. Kevin has some experience with Verlander and Scherzer with the Tigers.
Yeah, when they were pups.
I know, but they're still.
Yeah, but they're still Bulldogs.
Yeah, they're Bulldogs until the end of the season. But you saw what Verlander looked like in the World Series.
Yeah, he always looks like in the World Series. He's 1-6 in the World Series.
Right, but the point is to get to the World Series and have a chance of winning. But when you got 39 and 40-year-old guys as your best options to win at that point, you could be in trouble.
Getting there is not his problem. Doing well when he's there is his problem. And Quintana, he pitched really well for the Cardinals after he got traded from the Pirates last year. So, I think he's a number 4. He's not a number 3. If
they need a number 3. And
maybe they're not done. Maybe
they're guessing on Kodai Senga, but the problem is they're not the only ones in that market.
Maybe your cousin Steve Cohen will go out.
They signed a guy that really they have a guy in house that's better than. But even if they want to build depth, they could have signed Quintana after they found out what happened with Senga. That's my issue. This is
he didn't want to wait. Maybe he didn't want to wait that long.
Yeah. Well, guess what?
This is what I would say about Verlander and his World Series record. Just because he hasn't won in the World Series doesn't mean he wouldn't win. Like I would like my chances if
I'm going to give you the
than I had Verlander.
I mean, Phillies fans know it. He left the game with a 5-0 lead, and it was 5-5. Before he didn't leave it with a 5-0 lead. He had a 5-0 lead, and it was a 5-5 game when he left. Right. Then in the game that he won, he left it with like a 5-1 lead and 2 men on, and they were lucky to get out of that inning because there were like no outs. He struggled. Like, he got his win, but he struggled. And when he's 40, I can't believe he's going to do any better because I saw his fastball. His fastball at the end of the season wasn't there. So now I know what they're going to say. We're going to sit him in the middle of the year, whatever.
No, which might be the reason why they go to a 6-man rotation, because then
that would be correct.
Now, Russ can attest to this because I was talking to him throughout. I was never worried about Judge going anywhere else. And when the report came out, and we laughed at this, when the report came out in the afternoon yesterday from John Heyman saying that it looked like Judge was going to the Giants, and then he quickly retracted it, that smacked
Arson Judge.
Arson Judge.
He didn't say Aaron Judge. He tweeted Arson Judge,
right?
Which just started a whole frenzy.
Because he was so anxious to get it out first. But that smacked so bad of a leak from an agent to get the Yankees, who everybody has said for a while, he didn't want to go anywhere. He just wanted to get the most money. And the only way he was going to get the most money is if he leaked it out there that he was going to San Francisco. And that's what happened, Kev, because they stepped up with a 9th year and $40 million AAV. And lo and behold, I'm back. I never wanted to go anywhere else. I always wanted to be a Yankee. Okay, but he also wanted to get paid. And the only way he was going to get paid is for that story to get leaked. And now he's the highest paid player, a batter, highest paid non-pitcher in baseball.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter how you get there as long as
you get there.
Yeah, as long as you get there. And I think, as I said before we started the show, it really feels like Judge and the Yankees, were born to be together. Like, right. He's a Yankee, and the Yankees are the team for him. Like Aaron Judge just wouldn't be the same if he was on the Kansas City Royals or the.
I agree. Funny thing, Kev, is they built up a story after the fact that, like, Buster Olney swears now that when Judge flew to San Diego, that the Padres offered him $400 million, and then he turned it down. And I got to be honest, even though we had talked about Judge at the beginning and I thought he could sign somewhere, I didn't believe that story anymore. I didn't.
Yeah. No, I just never believed he would leave just for that reason. So.
And I do love, and for my job, I am on social media. I'm on Twitter constantly. I do love this group of cowards yesterday who came out with Judge pictures with a Giants uniform, or Red Sox fans sort of doing, rubbing their hands with glee at the fact that Judge was going to go to the Giants. And then, Kev, you go and search for them, and none of them are there anymore, because he said if they had any courage, they would have kept those tweets up, because then they would have been taking the abuse from the Yankee fans saying, how does that taste? But of course they're cowards, so they dropped off those tweets.
I repeat what I often say to you in these circumstances. I'm not 12 anymore, Mike. I don't think like that.
Right. It is, but this is the fun of the baseball offseason, the hot stove. It's really hot right now, and we had some fun with it. That's the key to me.
I actually, this is one of my favorite times. Like, I love the winter meetings. Like, it's one of the best things in sports, because I love, trades. Like, I don't get caught up in I don't care what another fan group has to say about it all, but I do love the rumors and the gossip and who might go where. And I mean, that's just like some of the best time. And it really, like, it's perfect time too, right around before Christmas. Yeah.
This is what Yankees fans were doing yesterday about 5:00, Ken. They were biting their fingers like crazy.
When they saw the Giants tweet, a lot of fans were worried. No question.
No question, because that's a legitimate, source.
Right.
And I think that had people kind of on alarm. How long did it take before he retracted that?
About 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. So, all right.
Okay, let's get started. Hello, Hockey World. Today is Wednesday, December 7th, 2022.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology, and I'm going to tell everybody be happy, be positive today, because Mike's going to point out something horrific again.
Kevin Allen, Hockey Buzz.
And I'm Michael Agello, and today is the 81st anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, and this is the Hockey Buzzcast here on HockeyBuzz.com. Sorry, Russ. I'm sorry. I'm a history major, and that was one of the biggest moments in history in the United States.
I said
it's hard to believe it's been that long.
It is hard to believe. Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing. So
it is.
I mean that would mean that the youngest sailors, would I think there are still survivors.
Yeah, they'd be 99 years old.
Yeah, 90 years at 99. Yeah.
Unless they lied to get
in. So they'd be 97.
Yeah, which a lot of people did near World War II.
Yes. Okay, so let's start with one of the more eventful games last night. And Kev, like you said last week, we were talking about Matt Murray, and you saw Matt Murray play in Detroit and how well that he played. And that was, to date, that was his best performance with Toronto. Well, he topped it yesterday because I don't know how I can say Toronto had no business winning that game, but let's just say it would have been a lot closer had Matt Murray not played the way that he did. 44 saves, a 4-0 shutout over the Dallas Stars, who have been pretty red hot recently. With Jason Robertson playing well and Ben and Sagan, and they're getting a lot of really good performances. Toronto walked in there. Murray stopped 44 shots, and they were not 44 easy shots. Sometimes those are sort of empty calorie victories. He earned his money for a victory, and the Leafs now have earned a point in the last 12 games, 9-0-3, and they're slowly catching up to Boston, although Boston's got a lot of games in hand.
Yeah, I mean, what struck me about that game to me was not so much the teams and all that, but the 2-point streaks, because and I think it speaks to where the game is at now. Scoring is up now. People really wanted to talk about those streaks. Like, I wrote about it a couple of times. I've gotten questions about them and everything, and I thought it was interesting. Jim Matheson, had put a tweet out reminding everyone, the record is like 50-51 by Gretzky. Like, why are we all so excited about it? But, I think people love offense. And so I was a little disappointed that Robertson's streak, because I've become, fascinated by Robertson. I've watched him play, and I like the way he plays and everything else. So I was disappointed that his streak died at the hands of Murray. So, I would like to have seen both streaks continue, and we only got one.
Yeah, I mean, nobody should be surprised at Marner's streak. I mean, he's a terrific player. We've always said it.
Yeah.
Mike and I we never backed off his size or anything like that. He's a great player. Listen, Murray, that's vintage Matt Murray. Like, that's better than I've seen him play in the last 2 years. If he could do that for the whole season, then the Leafs have a real chance. I'm still going to be a little skeptical that he could do that the whole season, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Right now, he's playing great.
I mean, Russ is right on this, though, Mike, because
I agree.
My issue with him, his issue is always injuries. No matter what the player is, you're always worried about that. Mine is always, how has he played? Like, he never played well for Ottawa, at least not when I saw him. He didn't even look like the same goalie.
Right? Yeah, he played well in very small stretches. He played well after he came back from Belleville. Until he had the concussion last season, he played really well. He put up some good stats. I mean, the problem with Ottawa's defense is, I mean, their problem is defense right now. Toronto, even with their 3 defensemen out, are playing better team deep. Now, last night was the exception to the rule. They did not play well defensively. Dallas had a number of 2-on-1, 3-on-1 breaks, the 5-on-3 at the end of the second period where Murray was standing on his head. I mean, they were. He was chiefly responsible for that victory, but he has played well. I just looked up the stats since he came back from injury: 6-0-2, 2.12 goals against, 941 save percentage. Those aren't.
That, Mr. Agello, is why I today wear my Toronto Maple Leafs jersey.
Yes, you're wearing the Doug Gilmour jersey.
In honor of you,
yes.
Because I'm here to eat crow and say that. If Matt Murray's gonna, you hate when I do this. I know you hate when I compliment.
No. But
let me do this. Let me compliment the Leafs.
Well,
let me say something good about them. I promise this won't affect anything.
Sure. 4-1. Remember that? 4-1. No,
Mike, good job.
Before you say what you're going to say, I'm agreeing with Kevin and with Russ. Right now, the evidence that he has put forth since returning from injury, he has been the Matt Murray that won 2 Stanley Cups with Pittsburgh. Yeah. The question with Matt Murray, and I said this before the trade, was not, and I keep saying this line, and I know it's cheesy. It's not ability, it's availability. If he stays healthy, which he has not been able to do, if he does, I think that.
But that's not true because he wasn't good. Like,
right,
you know,
see,
to me, if you're good, he wasn't good in Ottawa.
He wasn't, and personally, I thought Campbell, and I still think Jack. No, he's going to leave because he doesn't like to hear good things about trying to make it.
Sorry, I just had to get my water.
Okay, sorry, no problem. So I thought Jack Campbell was a better goalie right now, healthy, than Matt Murray was healthy. I really felt that. Now, that could still turn out to be true.
I felt it too, but hey, early on,
so did Kevin, right? Like Kevin, you agreed with that too.
For sure, yeah.
And I'm here to say right now that if both are healthy right now, and even if Jack Campbell is playing at Jack Campbell's abilities last year, Matt Murray is better. So I'm, right now, if Matt Murray can keep this up, like this is unbelievable. I mean, what it's doing for the Maple Leafs is incredible. And then when you consider all the defensemen that are hurt and stuff like that, it's an incredible story. It works out for him.
You know, an NHL team executive told me recently, and I thought about it, and he might be right, at least in my perspective. He said that when I said that, I was really kind of disappointed how it's worked out. I says, because I think Jack Campbell's a pretty good goalie, and he goes, and when he says no, you think he's a really good guy.
Yes.
And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And he goes, his technique has never been real good, and everybody in the league sort of knows that. He tries to play on instincts and reflexes, and he's never really been a good technical goalie. But the problem is everybody likes Jack Campbell,
right?
And he said because he's a really good soul, and he said, and you tend to expect the best from him. And I said, well, it's funny because I thought this year like he would be better than Murray. And he says, well, do you like Murray? And I said, well, not as much as I liked Campbell.
I actually liked Murray. I liked him even at the draft because I looked at Murray. I didn't really know him. And I was like, man, how's this 150-pound goalie who's 6'3" ever going to make it in the league? He's 150 pounds. And a few years later, he certainly did.
But I think there's something to that is my thing. I think we tend to overvalue Campbell because of his personality and that he's a real good guy. And
that's fair.
So
to a degree, but I mean, and I'm sure that doesn't hurt the whole situation. But I was basing my decision really honestly purely on what I saw on the ice because I haven't really met Campbell that much. I haven't been around him that much.
I have. He's a stand-up guy. Like I've
heard wonderful things about him, and of course, and I've heard, and I too covered Murray during the finals and enjoyed talking to him. A lot. He's very much a goalie. He was a quirky goalie to me. That's where Campbell's
a little quirkier for sure.
Campbell's a little bit more down to earth, where Murray's more like a quirky goalie.
Like I said, my only criticism of Campbell, I agree with everything that's been said. He's a great guy. He's a really good teammate. His teammates liked him. The only problem I had is what we talked about a few shows ago is his penchant, even when it wasn't his fault, to overly take responsibility for the loss, and sometimes that gets a little onerous.
And that's legit. And like Kevin said on last show, he said it is affecting now things in Edmonton too, which is significant. I mean, both Markstrom and Campbell their records are almost identical. Their statistics are almost identical right now. The two Albertan, big signings are just are being outplayed by their two backups right now.
Here's what I would say about this, Ek, and I really truly believe this now. Toronto used to be that place where the pressure was so bad that guys would melt. I think there's so much negative energy that goes around in Edmonton just because of the pressure of winning, because they should have been winning this whole time, that it's now harder to play there than Toronto, I think.
It might, right now.
I think it is.
I'll say that
it's pretty. There might be the two hardest places to play in the NHL. Honestly,
I think there's no question about that.
Just one further thing on the Leafs, then we can go and talk about that. I think just as big a development as their goaltending playing as well as they have right now. Samsonov has played well, and so has Murray. The best development is talk about taking advantage of a bad situation and finding out things about your own team and own players. Sheldon Keefe would have never played Rasmus Sandin and Timothy Liljegren 20-plus minutes a night had he not been forced into it by the injuries to Morgan Rielly.
Here's where you have to apologize to Russ and I, because we both said Sandin was better than they were giving credit for.
Yeah, we both definitely were.
You're talking about salary. He hasn't proved. He
No,
has not. He
No,
did
but we're
not.
talking about the player.
We thought he was worth the money.
Oh, I've always, Russ. I've
No,
always.
you have. No, you have. The difference that Eck and I had was you wanted to keep him at a minimal salary based on what we did, and Eck and I see the potential, and you know the potential too, but you didn't want to really pay for that. We were willing to pay for that.
Because he hasn't. He had 28 points in 88 games. He hadn't shown anything yet. You don't pay somebody.
But he only played in spurts. Now he's actually.
You don't pay somebody $4 million when they haven't proved anything. So they got him on the budget deal. They got him on the bridge deal, and now they're reaping the benefits of that. But what I'm saying is, Sheldon Keefe would have never played those guys 20-plus minutes and found out what they could do based on, Rielly and Brody playing all those minutes. The trust level on those players was only accentuated by them getting opportunity. And they have been fantastic in the absence of.
They got to stay together. They got to keep them together.
Well, they will.
Yeah.
They will.
But that's almost an NHL tradition.
Yeah.
When a guy goes down, you step up. You guys play well. You see it all the time in the playoffs, and then reality sets in at some point. And they come back a little bit down to earth. Now you hope, since they're younger-ish, that won't happen with them. But it's also a possibility.
Right.
That just because right now, I mean, that's the thing. I kind of almost have learned to hate next man up just because it sounds so cliche-ish.
Yeah.
But there is something to it in terms of guys do sort of raise their game to because of the situation.
I thought it was really interesting. I watched the game last night real quick, and then we're going to get on to I'm going to take over my topic today because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Two things I noticed tonight, because I watched that whole game last night, the Maple Leafs and Stars game. Two things I noticed. First of all, Jason Robertson, obviously, this is the first time I've really seen him since he's been in this crazy thing. I know, he didn't have maybe his best night, but he definitely is something special, like we all said. But beyond that, he might be among the best power play right point forwards I've ever seen. Like as far as the forwards playing on the power play on the right hand side, when he plays on the point, his ability to keep the puck in is just phenomenal. Like he is incredible at keeping the puck in. Like I would
really have to start thinking about the field for that one, but he's good at it, no question.
I think a guy who wears 34 in Toronto is pretty good on the right side.
He's very good too, obviously too, but. And they're similar, but Robertson, many times last night, there was this typical shot where the guy fires it around the board. You're like, well, that's out of the zone, and you're just thinking in your head, that's out of the zone, and it wasn't, he was there, or he would be pressured and would make a really nifty little backhand move at the point, to get the pass to somebody else. It was really, really something to watch. I totally thoroughly enjoyed that.
The one thing that was bad for the Leafs is Murray had to make 44 saves, and that's a lot of saves.
Too many penalties. I mean, they took so many penalties.
Seven power plays, and they were playing with only 5 defensemen because another defenseman went down.
But too many power plays. It is. You can't have that many penalties.
Yeah.
But also the other thing that's obvious too, and the other we talked about before, but man, oh man, the play on defense of Giordano is real.
He's
it's a real thing. It's not just, and then for next week I'm going to be doing the $1 million under $1 million best. He's definitely on.
Oh, he's in the top 5. He's
top 5 easily that list. All right, so Kevin, what I really wanted to do with you today is, of all the years talking to you, my favorite thing I've ever talking to you is about Team USA hockey.
Yeah, I always love this too. Yeah,
your knowledge of this, and I've been going through this for a while now, and I am here to say this is my lead in my story today. I know it's 3 years away still, but the World Cup may be only 2 years away in a few months. But it's worth noting that we are about to see the first time, in my memory at least, that Team USA will go in as a favorite over Team Canada based on overall team skill. At least that's my opinion. I can't ever remember an Olympics when that happened, and I feel like that's going to happen.
Yeah, feels like there were some co-favorites. Like I think that the first Olympics in 1998, after they had won in '96, I think people saw the U.S. as a kind of a co-favorite then.
And that was coming off the '96 World Cup victory.
Yeah, which I just said. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that World Cup team was great, but still, I think that was a lot of people felt like that was
Right.
the goaltending that they got incredible goaltending, right? And
I have to
Well, I think it was everything. It was Kachuk and Guerin who could,
Yeah.
And all that. So, but I think I will say this: nobody was saying that the U.S. was better than Canada. They were just saying they were right.
We've never heard that.
With
I've
them.
never
Yeah.
remember an international tournament where people were saying the U.S. is better than Canada. Like that's
Yeah.
I mean, any level, like
Junior
even at
junior tournaments, yes. Olympics, no.
The World Juniors recently, right? But and that's a good reason why this is actually happening because those World Junior teams those kids are now in this league. So when you look at this, okay, so I put my lines together and for each team, and I was going to go line by line, and we were going to try to see who was better. Okay,
can I ask one thing, Kev? Because there have been rumors of a potential best on best Canada US type of tournament that would happen before the World Cup in 2025 and before the Olympics in 2026 because we've gone so long without a best on best situation.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about that?
No, I don't. I've heard a mention, but when I've asked people about it, they've said, "Well, it's been talked about, but it didn't sound like it was real close." But I think that would be great. I mean, the USA's biggest rival now is definitely. I mean, it's Canada. I mean, like the days of Canada versus Russia. And I mean, those are always in big games, but it's Canada-U.S. is the rivalry in international competition. So I think that would work. I really do.
I mean, how cool would that be? Like a 3-day tournament, maybe one game, maybe 2 games in Canada, 1 game in the U.S. or whatever, and also have it every game be a doubleheader where the women play first.
I was just about to say that would be
and then the men play second. I think that would just be absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
In the tradition of even this is some anniversary of the Summit Series. It's like the new Summit Series. It's basically what it is.
See, actually, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't want to put the women's with the men's and mix it in like that. They draw their own crowd. They draw their own TV ratings. I wouldn't. I would want it to be separate.
I'm not with you on that, Russ. It's time for the women to be treated equally, and this idea that we got to have them, kind of separate. I say just play them side by side and
they've got their own group, true, Russ. But this is I equate this to my band had a big following, but we still went out and opened for Fleetwood Mac, because we wanted to get people.
Right. But that's the thing; they're going to be the opener, right? So they're going to
you're going to get in front of so many more people.
Well, hold on, they're going to be not necessarily. They just filled up in Seattle. They filled the stadium. So
but on TV, I'm not talking about the stadium.
But on TV, they've been drawing big ratings. My thing
is
not like maybe not like the men's, but they're drawing big ratings. Yeah. You're going to now ask them to be playing at 1:00 instead of playing in prime time. I don't like it.
Yeah. I just think you would the goal is to grow the women's hockey, and if you put them with the men, you're going to do that. And there's no tighter competition that I know of going on in sports now than U.S. Canada women. It's a coin flip every time they play. So
if it's on at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's not going to be good rating.
Okay, well, let me just sort of reposition what I'm saying. If we play the men in August and the women in September, fewer people are going to pay attention. If we put the men and the women together, everyone's going to watch both.
Well, if it's that close, sure, I'm in agreement with you. But it's usually not like that.
But they're just not going to get the attention. If you want to grow the game, you got to put them in there. Think about the impact that it had when we brought women and put them in the fastest skater competition at the NHL. That's all anybody wanted to talk about. It was the biggest story of the All-Star weekend. Was that they could skate with the guys, and the quotes from Austin Matthews and from other players about how fast they were. And I think that would happen as well. You'd end up have people saying, I tuned in to watch the men, but it's the first time I watched the women, and man, are they competitive. I think it would help the game.
Yeah, either do it in the middle of the season or do it Labor Day week. Do it on a 3-day weekend, so you can have a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 4:00 and 7:00, or 5:00 and 8:00 type thing, where you have them both playing, back to back on days, you know, what that are, and I think you'll get really nice ratings for it.
I mean, if you did it the way X said, like, I don't think people would squawk if you know, in the middle when you switched it, you played the women.
Yeah, right. You could do that too.
Yeah,
we tried that with Fleetwood Mac. They didn't go for it, but we tried it. Yeah,
You wanted Fleetwood open for you guys?
yeah, we thought it would be good. You know, it was only fair. I mean,
Stevie was in favor.
Yeah,
of it.
I've grown weary of the idea that separate is going to make them equal. I think you kind of merge them together, because I think one of the reasons why, I mean, already the U.S. Women's game has just grown dramatically, but I think if we stop, you know, we let them sort of stand on their own in comparison to the men, I think people will look in and say, hey, you know, they might be more interested, because they have grown and they do okay in terms of things, but I think they can do better. So
yeah. So here we are on December 7th, 2022. You know, just a few days from, you know, like 22 days from Christmas or whatever. 18. I'm sorry, I can't do math. 18 days from Christmas, and I guess this Saturday is Canadian Christmas. So when you look at it moving forward, it's going to be really fun to see how this. Sorry.
You mean Boxing Day?
What? No, Canadian Christmas.
He's making a joke about Canadian Thanksgiving.
I get it.
Yeah. I missed me there too. I missed that one. Yeah.
Over your heads. All right.
I
So
did.
Team USA. I'm going to go through my three lines and three defensive pairings for you, Kevin. And I'm going to have before we do this comparison, because I want to tell me, you're going to tell me that these guys are definitely on the team, and some of the guys I kept off the team. I know this. I know the way you work.
Okay. All right.
So line one for the Team USA, I have Matthews, Robertson, and Gaudreau.
Okay.
Okay. Line two, Jack Hughes, DeBrincat, and Tage Thompson.
Yeah.
They're on, and I have their ages here. Jack Hughes 23, DeBrincat 27, Tage Thompson 27. Gaudreau will be 31. Line three, my favorite line: Jack Eichel, Brady Tkachuk, and Matthew Tkachuk.
Okay.
And then line four, Matthew Beniers, JT Miller, and Patrick Kane.
Yeah, I'm really going to disagree with you quite a bit. First of all, as much as we love Tage Thompson, I think Eichel's the number 2 center behind Matthews. Matthews and Eichel are going to be 1 and 2.
Okay, so switch the second line.
Yeah, and you know what? I think Thompson's going to be a center, but they're in the Canada position now.
Yeah, right.
So we're going to have centers playing on the wing. You might see Hughes on the wing. You're definitely going to see Larkin on the wing, because you know what? Larkin is a Pied Piper of the American program.
Okay,
they're going to find a way to get him in those top 13 forwards. So he's going to play wing, or he's going to be, you know, something in there. I completely agree that Miller is going to be on this team.
Okay.
I think the Tkachuks will be on separate lines, because they're going to want might on each of the lines. But I like the team, and I know he's going to be 100 years old, but Patrick Kane, when they've asked him to play in World Championships, he's said more often than not, yes.
I mean, he'll be 35.
Yeah.
In the World Cup hockey, 36 for the Olympics. I had to put him on the team.
Honestly, I think he plays with Matthews. I think
he well could. Yeah, I'm with Mike.
Okay.
Yeah, and Gaudreau. I mean, it's hard for me to think that he's not going to be on this team, because he's an incredible player, but good players are going to get cut, because we can't have all the same
time of his career, Kevin.
Yeah, and DeBrincat right now, I would say, is out.
Yeah, DeBrincat, okay, so these are the guys that are out, and some of these guys I just feel like they should be in, but this is such a good team. Okay,
right.
These are the guys that I have out.
We have to take into consideration this is for 4 years from now, so a lot.
That's what I'm also trying to think about. So, like, I'm thinking about Tage Thompson's trajectory. You know, like if he continue, like these are the things, and Matt Beniers, like these guys, 4 years from now.
Well, Beniers will be 23, so
I mean, honestly, at that point, Beniers could be better than Eichel in 4 years.
Right. So it's hard to like.
He could, but Eichel was still. You know what I factored in is Eichel's still going to be in his prime. Like he's not an old man. You know,
Eichel will be 28. You know.
Yeah. So
they're not looking at that old. So these are the guys. Kyle Connor. Really hard to keep him off the team. 28.
I think he's in. I think
But
He's
where?
40
Like
he's
where?
He's a 40 goal scorer.
I know, but where?
Yeah.
Okay, honestly, I think if I was
Replace it to Brinkett.
yeah, I think
Okay.
if I was choosing Connor or DeBrincat, I would choose
Yeah.
Connor.
All right, I'm going to make that change right now. Okay, make that change on here because before we do this thing, okay? Because I really.
People in the chat are talking about Cole Caulfield. If Cole
Well,
Caulfield,
I had Caulfield on him and I took him off.
I've got Caulfield as my 13th.
Yeah,
forward.
he's definitely the 13th. I was going to say that too.
I had him on here too.
Yeah.
He's a goal scorer, and they're going to need a guy who comes in.
Well, Caulfield might be DeBrincat in 4 years.
right?
That's what I'm gonna. That's
Where
what
he's going to have a bunch of goals and it'll be impossible to keep him off. Where, you know,
Unless I'm mistaken, Kev, I'm pretty sure that the IIHF and the Olympic Committee allowed for larger rosters. Probably
they did, yeah.
So if the roster is 25 or 26, then it might be 14 or 15 forwards that they.
Right.
So I mean, now COVID might not be a concern in 2026, but they might keep the expanded rosters because once you go, if somebody gets injured, I mean, they might keep it that way. But we'll cross that when we come to it.
Continue on this thing.
The problem you run into is they're always going to take 8 defensemen and 3 goalies, so you're 11 right there.
Yeah,
so at 25, you still only at 14. So, even at 2 forwards, I mean, the point that Eck is making is really a valid one. It's really, really, really good American players are not going to make this team.
Yeah,
it's 2 different generations of them too, almost. So that's
and as much as I have made the case for Patrick Kane, he might be too old. Then let's see where he's at.
Those guys that they just, if he wants to go, they take him.
Well, I say that, but not if he's not playing at a high level.
Like his skating has to be at a high level still.
Yeah,
Right.
if he's still a 70 to 75 point.
Yeah,
player.
like if it's sort of like Ty goes to the runner in this case. Kane. Like
There's some other guys. There are other guys that I'm doing fast because I want to be able to do, but I don't mean to rush everybody. But Trevor Zegras is not on my team.
He won't. I would agree.
23. Jake Getzel's not on my team.
No,
Matthew Boldy, who could be
possibly.
Yeah. I mean, all 3 of these guys are guys that they could play themselves on.
Right. Dylan Larkin is not on my team. You think he?
Yeah, I don't see him not being on the team.
He's going to be on.
Replace Berniers or Thompson or.
Well, he's not going to replace Thompson.
Yeah, I mean,
I've got him on my 4th line is because I have Kane on, so maybe he's.
I have Kane on it too. So
I've got Miller, Larkin, and Hughes playing together.
Okay, you got those guys playing together. Yeah, so I've got Hughes playing with Caulfield and Thompson.
Well, Caulfield might be the 13th, so I think we're still okay because one of these guys just won't be starting. That's
Chris Kreider's too old.
Kreider. Even though
not as old as I thought he would be. 33. He's going to be 33.
No, but even though he's got great speed, he may not then. So
Pavelski's going to be 40. But I had to put him on. I had to put him on as this thing, because it's he's been there all the time.
He wants to coach, maybe.
So all right, so you think Hughes? You would have Hughes, Larkin. Is that your 4th line then?
My 4th line is Miller, Larkin, Hughes. Yeah.
Miller, Larkin, Hughes. Okay. Yep. So my 4th line's Berniers, Kane, and Miller. All right. Yeah. Anyway, but basically we're pretty much in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
Let's go deep.
There's a couple of differences. I mean, Connor Brown's not on this team. I mean, Kyle Connor's on this team right now, so.
Do you want to do the goalies? Because I think that's a
I'm going to do the defense first, and then we'll go goalies.
No, do defense. That's fine.
Defense, I got my 3 pairings. This is really hard to do. My 3 pairings were Adam Fox and McAvoy as number 1. My second pairing was Quinn Hughes and Jacob Trouba. Although I really, really am curious if we could see Quinn and Luke Hughes play together, because I don't think Luke.
I mean,
it's hard to do right now, but I think Luke Hughes is a frigging star.
Listen, he might be, but the problem is you got to have at least one Jacob Trouba there, or you're not going to have any order when things are going bad.
And honestly, I can't perceive of Luke Hughes being ahead of Jake Sanderson if we're talking about young defensemen.
Yeah, I've got Sanderson in my
call too. Exactly.
Yeah, I got Sanderson as an extra guy. Then my 3rd pairing is Seth Jones and Zach Werenski.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if Seth Jones is going to be there.
I've got him on there, but I think he's on the bubble.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got him on, so I think Slavin
Sanderson ahead of Seth Jones at that point.
I got Slavin on here as well. So.
Okay, Slavin. Yeah, geez. All right, so
I mean, Carlson and Ryan Suter will be too old.
No, they're done.
Torrey
Miller's a possibility. Get there.
Right, but he's taking a step back this year, so we don't know. Torrey Krug is probably, he's a specialist. So in a way is Justin Falk.
Yeah.
How old will McDonough be?
How old will McDonough be? 36.
Yeah, he's too old at that point.
I know.
We'll see.
I think that's why they have
Trubus. We don't know how much 11, but he's even showing a lot more injuries lately.
Yeah, I mean he's hurt now, so
now he's starting to break, and he was just starting to really get it together with Nashville too. All right, goalie. I've got 4 guys, and so I got Hellebuck, Ottinger, Spencer Knight, and Gibson. Right, they're my 4 guys for the U.S.
Who's the 4th one? I got Ottinger, Hellebuck, Knight, and
Gibson.
Oh yeah.
I'll say this before, but if you're talking about a pairing that has played together for a long time, being a defensive pair in the Olympics or the World Cup. Yeah. There's a better chance of it being Pesce and Slavin than it is Jones and Werenski.
Huh.
Werenski's will be coming back from a knee injury. You don't know how good he's going to be, and Jones has taken a turn, not in the positive in Chicago. Now I think he's still a great defenseman.
I think Werenski will still be there.
So do I. But I'm saying they all these USA Hockey or Team Canada, they always love if the pairings are good. They always love those guys because they know where they are. Devin Taves and Cale Makar will be on the Canadian Olympic team.
I'll say this. The reason I have Sanderson ahead of Jones, and I wrote about it today on Sportsology, is because Sanderson is a true hybrid defenseman, and they won't have a true hybrid defenseman on that team otherwise. And it's good to have one guy like that.
That's a good point.
But for goalies,
you don't think McAvoy's a hybrid?
I think he's.
Yeah, I think he is.
Not as good.
I think he's actually does more because he's a hitter as well. So
I don't think he's actually as good a defender as Sanderson will be, but he's close.
Yeah. Well, the problem is we don't really know what Sanderson's going to be, so it's a little bit hard to project. Nor do we know where Seth Jones is game.
Yeah, it's 3 years from now.
Seth Jones is playing right now. I wouldn't put him on. So, I don't know if it's going to get better in 4 years.
Right now, for the next 4 years, he might be playing meaningless hockey in Chicago because they're going to be, you don't know what he's going to be in 4 years.
But when you think about Seth Jones, you think about him when he shows up at All-Star games, you just see what he's all about. You see him when he puts his skill up against other people. Even when he's playing meaningless hockey, you just see it. You know what I mean?
Remember, we have a name Quinn Hughes, who's certainly going to be in the camp.
I have him in there. I have Quinn Hughes as my second pairing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not so sure he won't be on the first pairing with Fox. So
yeah, he
might about that, but I kind of like the idea of Hughes and Trouba together because I thought that was a better.
But remember, it will not be international ice; it'll be the NHL ice.
Right, it's going to be NHL ice. Yeah.
But if it was international ice, if it was the Olympics, then you might be right, Kev, because Quinn Hughes.
I think Quinn Hughes is the smaller the space, the more dynamic he is.
Well, because his edge work is incredible.
Yeah, I think he would be unbelievable on the small ice.
I mean, Gibson and Hellebuck will both be 33. Ottinger will be 26. Spencer Knight will be 24. I think those are the 4.
I think one of the old guys will make it. And then the other 2. I mean, Demko could be part of this too.
I also had Demko in there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot to put him on this list, but I did have him.
No, but he'll challenge for it.
But for all
my favorite in some ways.
For all of our friends north of the border, the third, I've never been able to say this, but the third string U.S. goaltender could be the starter for Team Canada. That's how far the Canadian goaltending has fallen.
I will say this: the reason I picked so many goalies for both Canada and the U.S. is we don't have the Shesterkin or Sorokin or we don't have the consistent obvious guy. That's not necessarily there on either in either country. To be honest, I mean.
No.
All right, so let's do matchups here. Let's go matchups, and people will probably disagree with my Canadian lines, but I think they're pretty good. But I'm going to have that much time, so I want to go through them. We can change them at the end if you'd like to. I have my extra guys on Canada too. So my team, line 1, Team USA, like I said before, I'm going to just stay with Matthews, Robertson, and Gaudreau for now. And Team Canada, McDavid, McKinnon, and Marner.
That's a better line.
They will not put McDavid and McKinnon on the same line.
No, but he's just doing it. So
they might.
No, I don't know.
I don't think so either. But Yeah.
I'm trying. Yeah, right. I'm kind of. This is for matchup. This is for the sake of like, okay, let's see where we're at strength wise.
Yeah, that's fine. Canada wins that battle.
Well, I think so. I mean, Canada. Do you think so, Kevin? I mean, that's. I mean,
Yep.
I mean, that's hard. It's hard to beat McDavid, McKinnon, and Marner. Line 2 for me is Hughes, Caulfield, and Thompson. But let's change. Let's do what Kevin said. Line 2 is Eichel, and I've got the 2 Kachucks, Brady and
Yeah. That's what I would do. Yeah.
All right, so that's line 2. Which I think would just be a fun line to watch.
Well, I have the Kachuk split, but I don't mind, in that case. So
that'll be ugly. It'll be really ugly,
Imagine that line,
especially if Drew Doughty is on the Canadian defense.
I mean, the fun of this whole thing with the Kachucks and the Hughes all playing together, it's gonna be just a blast. All right, and so you have Eichel, Kachuk, and Kachuk up against Stone, Point, and Connor Brown.
No, okay. Connor Brown's not making the.
Connor Brown's
not even close.
Mark Stone is probably a third or fourth liner because his speed.
Okay. Maybe we should go through this then, because maybe you guys don't agree with me. Let's go through this real quick. I'll give you my lines, okay? For my line 2 for Canada, Stone, Point, and Brown, like I just said.
Nope.
Then I have
Here's what you should do. You should take McKinnon off the top line, put him on the second line, make him the second line center, drop Stone down to the third line.
Right.
Yeah, McKinnon and it should be the number 2 center. Yeah,
Right.
I don't think there's any doubt of that. So
Yeah.
all right, I'll move McKinnon to the second line center.
No. Okay, knowing Canada and their methodology when it comes to picking players, and assuming that Steve Yzerman would be part of the leadership group for Team Canada, I think Braden Point, like you said, I think Anthony Cirelli as a fourth line guy possibly.
Yeah,
I think there's a possibility of Stamkos as a 35-year-old guy being that veteran guy. Plus, I don't think he's ever been on an Olympic team, or he had the injury problem. So I don't.
he's on my list.
Yeah.
I think Stamkos will be, third, fourth line.
Okay, so I've got McDavid and Marner. I got to put somebody with him, guys. Who am I going to put with him?
John Tavares.
Yeah.
He can play. He's played left wing on the Olympics before. He plays with Marner all the time.
Yeah, you can put him anywhere.
You've got so much speed on that line with McDavid and Marner. You don't need Tavares to provide speed.
All right, so does that change your feeling on Matthews, Robertson, Gaudreau versus McDavid, Tavares, and Marner?
No, they still win.
They still win.
Canada still wins that one?
Yeah, but the second line destroys.
All right, so who Connor Brown is
not Connor Brown.
I'm not going to take Connor Brown. I'm going to take Connor Brown off the second line.
Take him off the team completely.
All right.
Connor Bedard, sure. Connor Brown, no.
Put Connor Bedard there.
I'll put Bedard there. I have Bedard on another place, but I'm just going to do this with you guys for the fun of it. Let's do Bedard, and then we have who do we move down to the third line center? Oh, Stone, right?
Stone.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So
Well, he's not a center. He's a winger.
no, right. I know.
Oh, yeah, wing. Sorry. Yeah.
It's probably that's a good point. All right, but well, let's just go with the second line. Second line then is a battle between Hughes, Caulfield, and Thompson, McKinnon, Point, and Bedard.
Yeah, I'm going to still give Canada the edge.
Canada the edge on that one. Think so, Kev?
Well,
Yep.
Kev, let me ask you: do you think? And I think I would say no. At 30, I don't know if Sidney Crosby would be playing in 40.
We're getting there, Kev. We're getting there, Mike. We're getting there. Hold on.
Sorry.
He's on my team. Give me a sec. Go through. I have him on there. I just don't want to. You're going to blow the whole thing here. But it's in there. Wait 1 second, okay? The excitement of it. We're building to it. Okay. All right. Sorry.
Slow build.
Third line. Okay. No. So actually, sorry. Forget about that. We were going Point. I'm sorry. Because you changed things. McKinnon, Point, and Bedard are going against Eichel and the Kachucks. That's the second line.
Yeah, then Canada wins.
No, U.S. wins.
No,
Yeah,
Canada
U.S.
wins.
U.S. wins. Yes.
Chooks and Eichel.
Well, yeah.
If Bedard's half of what I think he's going to be with McKinnon and everything, I think Canada wins.
Well, Russ is really sure. I say we go with Russ.
Listen, don't start playing that game. You don't get everything you want, Kevin. Now.
There you go.
We can call it a tie, but I think. All right. So let's go. Line 3. Line 3. Hughes, Caulfield, and Thompson. Okay, versus Stone, McTavish, and Robert Thomas.
U.S.
McTavish.
Mason McTavish. Yeah, I think he's going to get it.
Oh, I love Mason McTavish.
I do too, but
I'm not ruling him out. I don't think he's a lock, but
I mean, no, none of these guys are locks. But I'm just projecting where I think these guys are going.
what do you think about him, Russ?
Mason McTavish, I think, could be on that Olympic team.
Yeah, me too.
Everything.
Yeah,
down on the fourth line. I just love his.
He plays an all-around game, and
Yeah,
he gets to the net, and he has grit. I think he could be there.
I mean,
and he can score. Yeah.
Can
And he kind of looks mean. Like
He is. He plays a lot like.
I know he does, but he looks it too.
No,
So
but he plays a lot like the Kentucks do. He does.
Can I throw out some names of guys that so
We'll
far?
get there. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let me go this, and then you can just disagree. Okay,
okay.
Because we're at the fourth line.
This one I would give to the U.S. Me personally.
Okay, I go to the U.S. in that one too. So now we have for sure split. It's pretty close, right? Now for the fourth line, this is where I'm going to say Crosby's going to be on the team.
Okay.
I'm going to say he's going to want to go. He's going to be 37. He's still playing really well right now. Only 3 years from now, he's Sidney Crosby. If he wants to go, they'll let him go, right, Kev?
But I could, yeah, completely, and I think he's going to be playing that strong. I mean, if Crosby's your fourth line and he's playing with Stamkos, like if you could somehow figure it out so Tavares, Crosby, and Stamkos could play together, like
3
I think Marchand.
I don't think Stamkos will make it there.
I think Crosby, Marchand, who's 35, going to be 35. I think those two still go. Like I think
they might. It just depends on where they are in their game.
I don't think Bergeron will be active by that point.
No.
Bergeron, I think Crosby, Marchand, and then it could be Stamkos. The Stamkos could be the third guy on that, or it could be Shane Wright as your.
I don't know if Stamkos he'll have another bad injury.
I'm thinking I put Shane Wright. I put
He's hurt a lot.
So let me
Crosby,
throw
Marchand, and Shane Wright. Go ahead,
let me
Mike.
throw out names and you give a yay or nay here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Nick Suzuki.
Right, I have him. I'm trying to find where he would be. Is he better than Robert Thomas?
No.
Russ? No, Thomas is a better playmaker, but Suzuki might be better two-way.
He's more skilled, but Thomas does other things that probably would get him on the team quicker than Suzuki.
Matt Barzal.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Barzal is one that you have to really look at.
Is he better than Shane Wright? Going to be better than Shane Wright?
I mean, at this point, he probably will be at that time.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. We don't know what Shane Wright. I mean,
law of averages, I would take Barzal over Shane Wright at that point in his career.
He's just been very inconsistent for a couple of years now, so it's hard to say. That's why I didn't put him up there.
I actually look at Barzal as that guy where if he plays for an Olympic team, he's going to have a similar result to Tavares, where all of a sudden he doesn't have to play as much defense, and you're going to say, "Wow, look at his offense." And that's what we said about Tavares when we saw him in the Olympics till he got hurt. Because all of a sudden he didn't have to play the same system.
Here are two nominees for the Chris Kunitz Exception Award, meaning a guy who plays great with a great player, and they always seem to lean on that, Team Canada. One would be Evander Kane playing with McDavid. The other one would be Zach Hyman.
I could see Hyman more than Kane.
Because Hyman would be that Rob Zaminer penalty killer, fourth line guy.
I mean, what about
this is where Evander Kane will pay a price for who he is.
Yeah,
right. Like even if he's playing well and he's been a model citizen, and you're just because you're kind of down in the bottom and it's hard to decide. All these things are going to matter. So
I agree.
How about Jordan Kyrou? He's another one who's
he would be close. He would be in camp, and if he stays on this trajectory, he could make it.
Mark Scheifele.
Scheifele might be too old at that point.
I think so. How about Jarvis?
No.
Jarvis, I think, would get edged out because I think you have too many guys like Jarvis. So if it's Jarvis or McTavish, they're going to choose McTavish because he's bigger.
Right. And then there's Fantilli, who we don't know about yet.
Fantilli's going to make the team, I think.
I mean, he could be
he might be the 13th guy, though.
All right. So my fourth line for USA, remember, is Berniers, Kane, and JT Miller. Is that better than Crosby, Marchand, and Barzal?
Well, I don't know if Marchand will be there, and I'm going to call it a tie. Because I don't know if Crosby's playing, he's not going to be the Sidney Crosby you even see today. He's not.
He's going to be the Chris Drury of 2010.
Right.
Well, I think he'll be a little more.
He might be a little better.
Yeah,
maybe a little higher functioning.
He's having a hell of a year this year. I don't think he's going to do that for 4 more years.
He's still one of the leading scorers in the NHL right now.
Yeah, but this is down the road. I don't think he's going to do
3 years away. 3 years away.
3 years away.
3 years and 3 months. Yeah.
I don't
Kevin,
think
what do you
he'll
think of
do
the
that.
fourth line combinations there?
I would call it a draw.
Okay.
That's me.
Okay, defense.
Defense. All right. Kevin, did you make a pick on that one?
Pick on who?
Sorry, I know it's a lot.
Fourth
Beniers,
line.
Kane, and Miller
Yeah.
versus Crosby, Marchand, and Barzell.
Yeah, it's hard to know where Beniers would be. I think I'll go with Cannon on that, but I think it's really a toss-up.
It is really tight. I mean, I think Beniers he's showing what he's showing, and Miller's
He's
and Kane,
having a good year. So
Miller, and Kane will still be good. He'll still have something going. Defense. Defense. Okay, pairing one for Team USA. As I said, Adam Fox and McAvoy. For Team Canada, I have Makar and Pietrangelo.
No, Makar and Taves. No, the pairings will be Makar and Taves, and probably Shea Theodore and Pietrangelo because they play together all the time.
Yeah, I could see them doing
Maybe
that.
they're better. I think they're better players than Shea Theodore.
I would take the U.S. pairing. I would.
Yeah, so would I.
Okay, Kevin, what do you think?
yeah, me too.
Okay. Second, Hughes and Trouba versus Shabbat and Ekblad.
I don't know if Shabbat will be the guy, to be honest.
I think Ekblad will make the team. I don't think Shabbat will. I mean, even Shabbat is. I mean, you're talking about a group of probably Ekblad, Morgan Riley.
Remember where just came up.
I know. I'm just saying. Drew Doughty, if he's 30, he'd be 36. I don't know if he's going to be mobile enough at that point. But yeah, no, I think the U.S. have the best defense. I do.
Seth Jones with Verinsky, or if you want to go Pesci and
Slade.
You can do that with either one versus Owen Powers and Morgan Riley.
I'll take the bottom pairing on Canada.
Powers and Riley.
Yeah, Power should be a pretty.
He might be the
down
second pairing guy that we just took off for Shabbat, though.
Right.
Yeah.
He could be.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't have Theodore on my team, which is hard to imagine.
Or might be the third pairing by then.
Right.
I mean, if one of those guys drops off, it could be Pietrangelo because he'll be 35. Maybe he'll be slower.
He'll definitely be slower. His speed's not,
No, he could fall off. But right now, it's hard to see that really because.
Yeah, I mean, Dougie Hamilton.
Like those speed,
that room's right. Dougie Hamilton will be at least trying to make the team.
He'll be 33. That's interesting. Like Hamilton's not young, so.
Yeah, I've got Hamilton as a guy that
I would have Hamilton over Shabbat as me personally.
Yeah, we're going to have to see where everyone is. That's the problem. It's so
Dobson. Remember Dobson? We still have Dobson. We haven't put him in there.
Yeah, Dobson will be trying to make that team.
I like Dobson quite a bit.
Yeah.
We have Uyghur, who I think could make that team.
No.
No.
Oh.
The funny thing is that the weakness of the Canadian blue line is opposite of almost every other. They have too many right-hand shots, and they don't have enough lefts. Ekblad, Makar is a right. Ekblad's a right.
Yep.
Petrangelo's a right. Hamilton's a right.
Yeah, but I bet you Pietrangelo will be the guy that plays the other side.
He could, but like the reason Taves will make it is because he's a left shot. The reason Riley will make it is because he's a left shot.
Right. Yeah, that's going to be interesting too. Like, usually in international competition, you really end up with pairings that kind of stick.
Mm-hmm.
But Makar is going to screw that all up because they're going to have him out in every.
That's what I think.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit odder. He'll be the one guy that kind of screws that all up. They're going to
leave Darnell Nurse up here.
Yeah. No, I mean
Nurse could be too beat up by then. I mean, we don't know.
He's
I
constantly.
left him up here on purpose, but I know
Mike. Power's a left-hand shot, so
Power's a left-hand shot. Yes,
that's why I said second pair. Take him out.
No, you might be right.
Yeah.
Now, Kev, the thing that's going to be interesting here. What do you have as the three Canadian goalies? Because I don't.
I put four down. Just like I did put four Americans. Carter Hart.
Okay.
Sebastian Cossa, who I know is still super young. Matt Murray and Tristan Jarry are my four.
Well, now all of a sudden Matt Murray's on the Olympic team.
He's got to be on the. Canada doesn't have.
I'm not putting Matt Murray on the Olympic team. I will say.
No. I'm not. Listen, I'm not. If you had to find me, who's better? Find me a better. But like, if Matt Murray's healthy, like we see now, and if he's playing like this, what Canadian guy is better than him?
Jordan Binnington.
No.
Okay.
They don't trust him. They won't trust him.
No, they don't trust him. I agree with that.
No, and he's not even this year. There's concerns about him. What's it going to be like in 4 years?
All over the map. Yeah.
Logan Thompson.
All right.
Well, Logan Thompson is
He
not.
could be a factor. He could be.
Yeah.
A factor.
That's a really good one, and I would put him. I would say might put him above Jari, depending on where things go. Right. That could be.
Yeah, that's fine. You can put him above Jerry, but I still don't know if Matt Murray's there.
Yeah, Darcy Kemper, injuries, I know.
No, not Kemper.
No.
I mean, is it legit? Am I legit on Costa, Kevin? Because when I talked to people in Canada, they said yes.
Well, the problem is he's off to a slow start, but he's only 19. Like, he's not in Grand Rapids. He's in Toledo. He's been a workhorse there. He's playing all the games, but he's been a little inconsistent. So
it's a real tough read. It's really.
You know what I think? This is what makes this one hard to read. I think Canada, that other spot, will end up being whoever the hot hand is that year of the Canadian.
Yeah.
They always do. They always do that.
Oh, they always do. Well, that's true with goalies all the time, right? I mean, that's
right.
true.
And we don't know who that's going to be. Like, that's more like the U.S. You could look at them and you say, one of those guys will be the hot guy. For Canada, I don't know.
Like,
it might be a guy that's not there yet.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Or Jonathan Quick, it's kind of crazy, but he's gotten.
I don't think Quick will hold out for 3 more years.
I don't think so, but
plus, historically, the Americans do not take an older goalie at number 3. They take a younger goalie. So,
if there's a DraftKings bet, I'm going to bet against Jonathan Quick's groin at this point.
So, I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury at age 41, is he going to be the third string goalie for Canada?
Well, here's the funny thing, Mike. I looked up Fleury and I said, for some reason, if he's playing in a league and he's playing decent, it wouldn't shock me if they picked him to be on that team. Not that he's going to necessarily even play, but just to have him on the team.
His personality.
Yes.
Right.
I thought about that too. I actually did.
All right, so let's now we've gone through these teams. Let's talk about who's better. Like, if you're going in the Olympics with these are the guys. I think not necessarily my guys, but just all the guys. In general, like my lines are just my lines.
Okay, Kev, you first, because.
Well, I mean, I like the American team, and what I like about it is the same thing that I liked about the '96 team, which is, they got grit on the wings. They got the Kachucks. And just like
they're going to win a lot of battles.
Yeah, and just like Guerin and Keith Kachuk changed the whole complexion of American hockey in 1996 because they could go in the corners with Canada. I think these Kachuk boys now will just make it hard. They're going to win those battles in the corner. And, there's some size now. I mean, Thompson is a big boy. That's, Eichel is not.
Matthews is a big boy, too.
Yeah, Matthews is a big boy. So, their defense is good. They can all handle the puck. McAvoy is a real good two-way defender. Fox is a terrific offensive guy. They've got all the things, and they've got the goaltending. So I like it. You can never discount Canada, but I just like the look of and as I said, they're going to leave a lot of good players home.
Oh, yeah.
So, those guys at 13 and 14 forwards and 7 and 8 defensemen are going to be pretty darn good.
I look at it and I say, what Kevin says makes sense because the U.S. seems like a better team. Canada's going to have more flash. Like when they're showing the highlights before the Olympics start with Bedard and McDavid and everything, it's going to look better for Canada, like it just is. But I do think when it gets to the meat and potatoes of a game, and I do think Canada will have the better power play, but I think when it gets to the meat and potatoes, it's going to be the U.S. Now, Canada may overthink it and leave somebody like Bedard home and just bring somebody that's a greasy player. They might do that. Because they see the way the U.S. roster stacks up. But me personally, I would want to have all the scoring I could if I were Canada. That's their best chance of breaking the U.S.'s defense because the defensive goaltending is going to be really good.
Yeah, that's true. What do you think, Mike?
I mean, I think that overall the U.S. are better. I mean, Canada is still dangerous. They still have top line players, but I think the U.S. has a decided advantage in between the pipes. And I think their defense is, slightly better. forward wise, I mean, if you have McDavid and Bedard, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and and Crosby, even though he's old, I mean, the quality there. The quality there is incredible, but the U.S. aren't slouches up front, and they could play a physical game in an international event that, like Kev said, that would rival '96. And when the U.S. were able to play the Canadian game, the Canadians weren't able to respond in kind. So
yeah.
I think in a head-to-head matchup, I think the U.S. would win. But we know international hockey, they come up against the Finns or the Czechs or somebody like that.
Well, the Swedes are going to be really. I looked at where the Swedes are going to be. They're going to be crazy.
Listen, the team that isn't there at the moment, but if they somehow get back in good graces, Russia would be very, very good.
Yeah, I mean they will be, but they definitely have, like we talked about.
The problem with Russia is going to be, they're going to want KHL guys, and always there's so much politics involved. And
they'll still have two great goalies. They're not going to switch up on their goalies.
The goalie thing is hard to beat. That's for sure. I mean, they are way.
Even if Ovechkin's 40, he's going to be on the team because they're not going to
three great goalies, Russ. I mean, they're going to have at least. I mean, they're going to have Vasilevsky.
You can only play one.
Right.
That's the problem. You can only play one.
Any one of those three would start on any other team.
You want to put Kochekov in the mix, there's four goalies, but that won't matter, like Mike said.
Heck, I'm not disputing that. I think any one of them would be the starter for the U.S. or for Canada, but you can only play one. And if you look at the Russian defense, it's not that great.
No,
and the depth at forward is not that
great.
No,
the depth at forward will be very, very good.
But don't forget, there's only 30-some Russians in the NHL. So.
I know, but there's a few that aren't playing, Kev, that are amazing. And they're playing in the KHL now. So there are some close to, generational players for Russia not playing right now.
They're coming over.
Yeah.
Eventually.
It won't be this year. It won't be next year.
Yeah, I'm not 100% convinced that the goaltending for Canada is way worse than the goaltending for the U.S. here. Like, honestly, and I'm not because of Matt Murray. I'm just saying, just in general, like even Tage Thompson, like bring him into that list too. Like, I think that all four of the U.S. goalies to me could go either way.
I'm not I'm not slagging Carter Hart with this statement, but because I think Carter Hart would be right now he's the number one for Canada. He's not the number 3 for the U.S.
Oh yeah, yes.
No, he's not.
Yes, yes.
No, he would be. I think he would be.
I don't think so.
He'd be the number 2 for the U.S.
But I think the issue here is, like, what was it, the 2010 Golden Goal, whatever. Like, Luongo took over for an aging Brodeur, right? Which is the Canada way. Like, usually they do have an older guy. Luongo, and he can still capture the magic. He captured. So, they're still going to go with whatever biggest name they have at the time. And then it still could be the backup that ends up doing better.
Carter Hart is not better than right now than Ottinger or Spencer Knight.
Exactly.
Well, he's better
than Spencer Knight right now. He's better than Spencer Knight right now. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, we're talking about we're projecting 3 years up the road. So
3 years down the road, it's going to be close. But I can't.
Young though. Carter Hart's like.
I don't want to act like Carter Hart can't get better because right now he's playing on a crap team.
Yeah, but so can Spencer Knight.
Yeah, Spencer Knight they're expecting Spencer Knight to be, better than what they projected Carter Hart to be. So
no, I get it.
I just don't think you can say that Carter Hart is going to be number 2. If I was projecting, I would say
3. It was 3.
Yeah, 3. Even 3, I think is isn't a given. So
I mean, right? If when you're projecting, I don't know, but right now. He's right up there. He's right up there with that.
Yeah, I mean the problem is Thatcher Demko before he got hurt was having a poor season. If Thatcher Demko, I mean, people were saying, I shouldn't say people. NHL Network was saying Thatcher Demko was in the top. Well, what was he ranked? Top 10.
Yeah, they're in the top 10.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like Carter Hart, I just wouldn't.
But those are two guys with two teams with no defense. Absolutely. No defense in front of them today. We don't know what's going to happen in a couple of years.
Well, yeah, we don't. But I mean, that's why I wouldn't rank Carter Hart ahead of those guys now. So
I don't know. I'm watching him all again, and I'm not the only reason to watch the Flyers right now is Carter Hart. To be honest, I mean he is phenomenal. Like what he's doing this year. I mean, they should not have any wins. Like,
I mean, here's what I would say about Hart. He's won a gold medal.
yeah,
He was great in the bubble. Like, we can't take that away from him. And it doesn't mean he can't get back to that. That's when the Flyers defense was good, Carter Hart was one of the 6 best goalies in the league, probably. So I think he could be. I'm still going to say I think he could be third. That's just me.
Yeah, I think he could. I think he and Spencer Knight is a toss up, to be honest. And I think Ottinger has more potential, but at the same time, Hart also shows moments like shows those moments too. So I don't know. I think
Hart's got mentally stronger since last year when he had trouble. So
I mean, I think it's possible, but I just think you're both a little more over the top than I would be. I think it's a little more. I think it's we got to kind of wait and see. But if we discuss, people thought Carter Hart was going to be very good.
Yeah.
And people thought Spencer Knight was going to be very good. And I don't think either one of them, we know exactly where they're going to be, but I still think Spencer Knight has a chance to be one of the best goalies in the league. And Carter Hart, hasn't been smooth for him. That's the best way.
But again, his team hasn't been smooth at all either. So it's a tough one to put him into, but he's definitely, he has gotten it together through this whole thing. Like last year, I would have been like Carter. Oh man, I was really worried about him last year. Like I think everybody was. But when you see where he's at this year mentally, you can see that he's got a different level to his game.
I agree, but
which is really interesting. So there you have it, guys. That's our Olympic preview for those two teams. It's a long way away, but it's so much fun to talk about because it's so there's so much talent.
Yeah, I mean, and there are guys that were drafted in the last couple of years that I wouldn't. I wrote Trevor Zegras down. I don't have him in my top 12 forwards, but I think he could be there. And and there are some big forwards that have been drafted in the last couple of years for the Americans that I think have a chance too. So
yeah, totally, 100%. I agree, 100%. Yeah.
Some of these guys we mentioned are going to be injured. A few maybe retired.
It's going to be, somebody else is going to be like the next Tage Thompson or whatever. Things are going to happen like that.
Yeah.
At that point, Jack Hughes, I think could be better than Nathan McKinnon at that point.
Well, he's close already, so that's not a reach.
Why not, right? Like,
Jack Hughes could easily be, one of the top 2 or 3 players. For the Americans. I mean,
watch his assist from last night and you'll be like, oh my God.
And stick handling. Like I said before the year, I thought he was the best stick handler in the league, and I'm sticking by that, man. It's like he really has shown this year that he can
it's him or McDavid as far as fast with the puck with the stick. I mean, one or the other.
Yeah. No, I'm really bullish on him too, and I think he could be up there. It's just I don't see him surpassing Jack Eichel's playing really well. I don't know whether you guys have seen any of the biggest games.
No, for sure.
I've seen him the 2 games watching him, and I'm just really impressed with how he's playing. So it's hard for me. I mean, we just see him up there with the the top centers in the game right now. At least I do. So
sure. For sure, I agree 100%. All right, guys, great fun. I have another fun topic that I'm working on. So maybe we'll have fun for Friday, but we'll be back in tomorrow with the podcast. So remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. Enjoy the games this evening and have fun out there.